Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm Scream, and welcome back to another day in Destiny 2 for some more Destiny 2 news and Lightfall intel. And if you hadn't noticed, this week we got the launch of Grandmaster Nightfalls, and I have really been meaning to make a video on the best ways to farm out this week's Grandmaster Nightfall, which is the Proving Grounds, really since Tuesday, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it until now. Sorry if it's a little late, but because the Proving Grounds is going to be on rotation at least once more this season, and because it's actually selectable if you've already completed your Conqueror Seal in a previous season, I figured it's never too late to cover all the best ways to cheese this particular strike, which has been around for quite a while, and there are some good ways to get through it a lot easier than if you don't know them. So just keep in mind, we're going to go through every single step of this strike and all the different areas because there's something that you can utilize for each. If you can complete this Grandmaster Nightfall this week, you'll earn yourself the ADEPT version of the Hung Jury, which comes with Kinetic Tremors, which is probably one of the best perks that you can get, at least added to the perk pool this season. So you definitely want to farm it if you don't have an adept version of the Hung Jury, or even if you do, because this particular perk was not available on previous seasons. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 Lightfall content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter. They'll be linked in the description box down below. And remember to stick around to the end of that video for the secret hashtag I do at the end of all videos to be entered into the next giveaway on this YouTube channel. And of course, I do that on all videos, remember, so if you haven't done this on a previous piece of content on this channel, you can always go back, check out another video, and of course, do it again. So now there are two things that are really going to be, as far as weapons go, the best to bring with you. One is the Skyburner's Oath. Now, if you're a new player, you probably have never heard of this exotic because it's kind of an old one, but if you're a veteran player, you might have used it on the Proving Grounds in previous seasons. It's probably the only place where this particular scout rifle really gets any use, but simply because this particular scout rifle does more damage to Cabal, and because it allows you to shoot through the bosses and mini-bosses' shields. So those actuators, those batteries that are in the middle of the shield when they go inside of them between damage phase, so you have to actually go in and destroy it before you can actually do damage to the boss or mini bosses. Again, that you can just shoot through from a distance, so you never actually have to go inside the sphere anymore. And though you used to be able to go inside and just sort of keep the battery between you and the boss, now because all the bosses and, well, the mini bosses stomp unlike they did before, really doesn't work quite as well. So the Skyburner's Oath is really a must-have, especially if you're going to try to do this solo. And I really do give you praise if you can complete this solo. The other thing is going to be the Osteo Strega. Now, just because this particular weapon, when coupled with any other weapon that has Vorpal on it, is completely broken at the moment, it's going to be still one of the best weapons to bring with you for any class. If you're running a Strand build of any kind, this is going to be a sort of a double buff. And I was running Strand as well as my Solar build for different runs in the strike, and it really worked well for both. So just remember, it's once you trigger the poisoning effect from Osteo, you can then switch to any weapon that has Vorpal on it, be it a heavy or a special or even another primary, as I was running 2 primaries in this strike, and it will continually rebuff that dot. So every single time you get the poisoning effect, you switch to Vorpal, and that dot just is continuous. Whatever enemy you apply it to, it'll be continuous, and if you do it to a boss with a lot of ads around them, or smaller, lower level ads around them, it spreads the poisoning effect and does the exact same thing to them until they die. Many ways you can make that even more effective, and it works on the tanks. For that particular room, I would usually just stay up top until the second phase where you're going to move down to the left like you saw us do. Now for the boss room, there is one really major cheese, and that is in the tunnel. The tunnel is your friend in this particular strike. And that's because, though there is the heating vents in the middle, you can actually stand on the right or left in the center of the tunnel, as you see me doing here, not on the sides, but in the center because it's slightly wider there, and that will allow you to avoid all the boss damage, at least the boss damage coming from the giant fire floating orbs. So I like to just sort of switch back and forth side to side, and if you stay in the back on this side, all the way closest to where the tunnel's wall is, there's actually places where you can also stay out of danger from any of the orbs and avoid most of the adds coming in, except for when the champions spawn on either side. But that's why if you're doing this in a group, it's usually good to have one person maybe rotating back and forth and two people on the side. But it's always good to know, even if you're doing this as a solo player or if you're doing it in a group, that you can actually stand in the middle, because nothing is really going to hurt you there. I believe the champions, when they do spawn out, might come running over to that side, but nothing really comes back that often. Maybe if you're really just aggroing them, they might come back. But on their own, I think they'll just sort of float towards the middle where you see the boss kind of sitting, maybe not quite that far back. I was just adding the dot, like I said, with the osteo and then running back and forth, keeping the dot going. It gave me infinite grenades when I was on my solar class, and when I was on my strain class, it was basically just allowing the boss to take out all the other adds, because once that dot was on, anything that came near the boss was also triggered by the osteo's poison dot. And then once the boss went into their sphere again, and we had to actually go and destroy the battery in the middle, we just took out the champions from the back, because the fireballs were not really going to hit us here, especially if we switched back and forth. And then we had our teammate with the skyburners just take it out from back here. Now, once this phase is done, be it once they're out of their sphere again, once you've destroyed the second battery or the first battery of this particular boss encounter, second battery since it's like the second boss, then you're going to want to rotate back towards the entrance of this room, because the boss is going to jump back up to on top of the tunnel. Now that is going to be trouble if you decide to try to stay in this area where the fireballs will just sort of loop around, and though you can stay in the middle, you're not really going to be able to do much from there, except maybe take out some adds on either side. But because you're going to be wanting to rotate, if you go to the opposite side of the room, the fireballs will not be able to hit you when the boss is on top of the tunnel or up on top of the altar. That way you can just stay in the back, all the way in the back towards the entrance. You could call it the entrance or the back, opposite of where you are at this point, and avoid all the boss damage. And as the two champions come out from either side, you can take them out one at a time. So as I said, here is where you're going to want to be for this particular portion of the boss encounter, just because the floating orbs will not hit you, and it's fairly simple to take out one boss or one champion at a time. Again, using the dot really helped, and just being able to burn them down with AoE damage, with grenade damage. And then once we were done with this portion, we actually switch back towards where the boss is sitting now. Again, once we used skyburners to take out the battery in the middle again, and the boss was freed, we then rotated back towards the tunnel to do the final bit of boss damage. At this point, the boss will sort of chase you back and forth. They won't stay at the opposite side of the room like they did for the first phase, but this is where just rotating back and forth really is the optimal method. And that way the boss sort of goes to one side, you can shoot down the tunnel and rotate back and shoot down the tunnel again. But that is going to be it for all the information in today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 Lightfall content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter. As I said before, they'll be linked in the description box down below. And if you've watched to this point in the video, please leave a hashtag Proving Grounds or a hashtag Nightfall or a hashtag Lightfall, Nightfall or Lightfall, in the comments section down below. We'll give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. And remember, I'm going to be doing more content like this, so there probably will be one of these every single week. I'm going to try to do them on Tuesdays, so you can have a whole week's opportunity to farm this out. But again, because this will be on rotation, I'm sure it'll help in future weeks. And as always, I am Wilhelm Scream. Thanks once more. Of course, we will see you next time.